the H4N Pro audio recording unit. Well, welcome. I'm Mike McMillan, and today I'm going to walk you through what the H4N Pro audio recorder is, what it can do. I'm going to show you all the different settings that you can make to get your recordings come out just the way that you want them to. It's really more than just an audio recorder. It has so many functions inside that you can really tweak up your audio in a number of different ways. And then I'll show you when we get done. I'll show you how to take the audio file that you get from your H4N Pro and combine it with the video file from your smartphone, your DSLR camera, your camcorder, whatever, and get those synced up so you end up with a really nice, attractive looking video that looks good and sounds good. Okay? Well, with that, let's get going right now. Okay, well, this is the bad boy we'll look at here today. This is the Zoom H4N audio recording unit. I'll zoom up a little bit so you can see that. And when you get one of these, what happens is it comes in a box. The box looks just like this. Okay. And inside the box, of course, you get the recording unit itself. You get a little case that snaps open, and you can keep it inside of this when you're not using it to protect it. So that's kind of nice. Additionally, this booklet, the operations manual, it's about 150 pages. It's a lot of reading. That's why we're making this video, is to help you get started quicker than trying to memorize everything in the booklet. Now, when you get this, I'll just tell you, you need to have an SD card like this. I use this Ultra 80 meg per second, 32 gigabyte SanDisk SD card. You can get these on Amazon. And it does not come with a card, so you'll have to buy a card separately. And the card snaps right in on the side, right in here, okay? And then the other thing is that you do need to have some batteries. This takes 2 AA batteries. You'll have to have some AA batteries. Now you can use regular alkaline batteries. Those will work fine, but it goes through batteries pretty quick. And so I got this at a hardware store. You can get something like this at Walmart or Costco. It holds 4 AA batteries, and it just plugs into the wall. It takes about 2 to 2.5 hours to fully charge a set of batteries like this. This is very useful. I always have 2 backups and 2 in my machine here, and this can, in the long run, it will save you a lot of money. Okay? Hey, this is Mike. This will be a big help. I have a free 8-page ebook you can get. It has the time codes for all 40 topics. So for example, if you forgot where I talked about stealth mode, you don't have to come back and watch the whole video. Just look it up in the index. It'll say at 5 minutes, 57 seconds. That's where it's at. And you can watch that and review it. Just click on the link in the description below this video. It's free. This is our Zoom H4N unit right here. And what I'd like to do first is just show you sort of the outside anatomy of this unit, and so that we get familiarized with, you know, what these buttons and what these dials and everything does. So before we begin, I'd like to give you just a little tip. And the tip is, anytime you do anything like this, if you have an SD card, I use a 32 gig SD card. You can use a 16 gig card. Don't use anything bigger than a 32 gig card, or this thing will get confused and you'll have problems. So if you put an SD card in like this, or if you take it out, if you put your batteries in or take them out, if you plug any microphones in anywhere or take them out, make sure that the unit is shut off before you do that. Otherwise, some things can get messed up inside there. We don't want that. Okay, so right here, let me set this down. I have a little graphics card I made. This is pretty high-tech drawing, huh? So right here, let me just show you what this is. If you pick up the Zoom unit and you look at this, I know that you can't see this. This is tiny, 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 tiny. But up here, you'll see this says, right now it says 120 degrees. I don't know if you can see that. That's tiny. That can be changed by turning it, and it'll click where it says 90 degrees. Both of these can be turned the same way. And what that setting is for, if you're not plugging a microphone into the unit and you're going to be recording from these 2 microphones, the built-in microphones, then you have a choice of recording from a 90-degree angle, like this pink line right here. And I would use something like this. If I were sitting out here, standing out here, speaking into this unit, I would set it on 90 degrees. And then anything in this 90-degree angle would get recorded very good, very well. Okay? Now, if I were sitting over here, and I had another person sitting over here, and I was doing an interview, and I needed a wider recording area, then I could set this on 120 degrees, and that would give me more than a 90-degree angle. It would give me a 120-degree angle. So that's what those settings are for, and you can adjust those based on what you're going to be doing. Now, let's look back on the back. Here are the batteries. Something very important right here. This says stamina mode. This can be turned on or off. If you have it in this position, and this is probably the way it's going to come, where this is pushed all the way to the right, stamina mode will be turned off. Leave it off, okay? If you push it this way and put it on stamina mode, your batteries will last a lot longer. However, your recording quality will be a lot less. Okay, and I've tried this before. The recording quality, it comes out horrible. So don't play with that. Keep it on the off position. Okay? So, how do you turn the unit on? Well, right on the side over here, there's a little flipper switch, and it says, there's a power signal right there. It says hold. If you pull this down all the way for just a second, it'll say loading. So Zoom, it'll come up, says now loading. Okay? If you push this up to hold, the hold position right there, all that does is it locks all your settings. So that if you're in a band and you got 5 or 6 people around and somebody picks this up and they accidentally hit a button, a switch or something, it won't ruin your recording. It locks everything down so that nothing can be changed. You can turn that on or off. Your SD card, the more recordings you have on your SD card, the longer it will take to load and boot up right here. And there we go. This took about 30 seconds or so. Okay? If you had 100 recordings on here, it could take several minutes to load and boot up. Okay? So, the next thing is we can look right over here. This red button is how you turn it on to start recording. Now the unit is on, but it's not recording. And we can see right up here, this is our recording counter. These are milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and hours. Okay, so it's not recording because the counter isn't moving. This is our battery indicator. I've got 2 bars right now. That's enough for me to do what I want to do here today. Okay, don't let this get down to 1 bar. If you do, then you still have some time, but if your battery dies out in the middle of a recording, you'll lose the entire recording and you can't get it back. Okay, so that's why I use rechargeable batteries. Okay, I'll show you what this 9624 is in a second when we get inside. And down here, these are the recording levels. Let me show you how those work. So when you get ready to record, right here, push this red button in just 1 time quickly. And then what you have is it shows the recording monitors. Now right now I'm recording, I don't have a mic hooked up, so I'm recording with the built-in speakers right there, or built-in microphones. And you can see it shows the 2 recording levels. They're both the same, of course. Okay, now the key is if the levels are way down here, you're not going to pick up any sound on your recording, or very little. It won't be enough. Typically, the best setting is to have your recording levels between -6 and -12 decibels. Okay? If you get down and they get down to 0, because it's very loud, it will clip your sound. It'll cut the high and low frequencies out, and you'll end up with something that sounds very bad. So keep it between -6 and -12. Mine is a little low. So to adjust that, what you can do is come down here and under record level, you can make it go up or you can make it go down to get it between the 6 and 12. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Now, the microphones, I use this microphone. I can't show you the mic because I've got it hooked up to my camera and it comes up to me. But on the end of this, here's the microphone. It clips on your shirt. The other end, if I were using it on my recorder here, would plug right into the back, that 3mm jack right there. It would plug in right there. And that can give you some really, really good sound. It's very inexpensive. Okay? The other inputs are down here on the bottom. And if you have like something, a 1/4" jack from a guitar or a microphone or whatever you're plugging in, they can plug right into the bottom, either in this jack or this one right here. Okay? And some microphones will have an XLR cable that comes out. Again, that can be plugged in here or in here. Now to plug those in, don't try to force them in too much, because to get them in, you need to push down on this little lever and that'll open it up in there. Then it'll fit in there nice, and when you let go, it locks it in so it can't come out. Well, the next thing, we have 2 buttons on the side here that I want to show you. One is the menu button. That gets you into the menu right here. This is our scrolling wheel right here, and you can turn this up or down to scroll through different functions. If you push in on it and click it, it selects something for you. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to shut that down, and what I'll do is come right in here and push the menu button and see what comes up. This is our menu. There are about, I don't know, 8 or 10 different things that you can do in here. But let's go up to the top where it says folder. Okay, and if I click on that by pushing in right here, if I push in on my scroll wheel to folder, I can now select any one of these 10 folders. So if I had like 3 different videos that I was working on, I was going to do some today, some tomorrow, whatever, I could put like one video in folder 1, another one in, or audio in folder 2, so on and so forth, just to help you organize it a little bit better. Okay, so right now I'm going to select, I'll just push in and select folder 1. Okay, so now if I record, that recording will go into folder 1. Now if I come down to File and I'll click the select wheel again, these are the recordings that I have inside of folder 1. And we could pick one, doesn't matter, here's one. If I forgot what this was, I can't remember, I can come down and hit this play button right here. And if I click on this, just listen.
Okay, well, what I'd like to do here is just...
Okay, I'm going to stop that. Okay, and what that does, when you click the play button on the back, here's the built-in speaker. The sound that comes out of the speaker, no matter how good your recording is, the sound is terrible coming out of here. Okay, don't panic, because that's not the quality of your recording. It's just a function of this not so good speaker. If, for example, if you were to play what I just played for you, and you saw how, you listened to how bad it was, if I would plug in, like, this is a set of earbuds I've got, and if I were to plug this in over on the side, right here, and then listen to that same recording that I just played for you, well, you'd get a really nice sound coming out. Or if you had some headphones, you could plug into that. So your sound is going to be good, but when it comes out of the speaker, don't panic. That speaker is not that great. So, yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, well, let's look at some of the functions inside of this unit that you may want to tweak up or change a little bit. And so we'll click on the menu button right here. This pulls up our menu. And the first thing that you'll see right up on top, it says folder. And if I click on the scroll wheel, that selects the folders. You can see we've got 10 folders in there. You can record in any folder that you'd like to. Now, for example, I could come down to the second folder right there. I could click on that, Now when I make a recording, it's going to, right here, you can see it says folder 2. It's going to record this recording in the second folder. You can pick any folder you'd like. Okay. Then you can come down to File and click on File. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to, I showed you how to do that. I'm going to select the first folder so you can see what this looks like, a folder that's got something in it. Come down to File and you can click on that. These are all the different recordings I've got in that first folder, okay? And they'll show up right there so you can check and see what's in there, okay? So let's go back, but you can record in any folder you'd like, okay? And then in Input, I'll click on that. I don't use many of these functions right here, but what I do use, I'll show you. Low cut, if you select that, what that does, it takes the low frequencies, the very sort of deepest tones, and I would never use that inside, but like outdoors, if it's very windy and you're recording, this low cut setting can eliminate those the windy sounds that you would pick up. So that might be something. Down here where it says Comp Link, right here, what that does is it takes your recording and any really loud noises, it'll ratchet those down. Any very, very low noises, recording sounds, it'll ratchet those up so that you get a more even recording level. So you don't have real loud areas and real weak areas. You might want, I don't use that. You might want to think about that. I don't use those things. I don't use auto level. Mono mix. Now I'll tell you what that does is if, for example, right here, if you plug in a microphone into one of these ports down here, the first or the second one, what that'll do is if you plug that in, it will record on one channel, okay, which can sound great. But if somebody has earbuds or headphones, they'll only have sound coming out of one of those earphones or one of those earbuds, and they'll think, what's wrong? I don't have any sound coming out of the other channel, the other side. So if you turn this mono mix on, I've got it on now, it doesn't matter, but I use a stereo mic back here, so I don't need to use that. I'll just leave it on. But what it'll do is whatever's coming in here, the sound, if it's a voice, a guitar, whatever it is, it will record that on both channels exactly the same. So if somebody has headphones or earbuds on and they listen to your recording, they'll get sound coming out of both channels, out of both of the earbuds or both of the headphones. So that can be kind of useful. I don't use that. Now, phantom power. Phantom power, what that is you can see right here, some microphones require what's known as phantom power. They can't just run off the batteries inside of this. They require more power. And if you'll have to check the box, the instructions with any microphone you plug in and see if they require phantom power. If they do, phantom power just means that your microphone is going to be pulling current, electricity out of this unit in to power the microphone, okay? And there are two settings. Some mics will say they need 24 volts, some say 48 volts. You just have to read in your microphone manual and see if they require phantom power or not. So that's just something. I don't need that because of the type of microphone that I use. Okay, and then I don't do that. I don't use those. So we're back to the beginning. So let's come back up here and let's come down to right here where it says record. And what you see now, basically I don't play with any of those, but your recording format, when you come in here, you have choices. I always use WAV type formats, WAV formats. They record in higher fidelity. You basically will get better sound with those. Now I had mine set on 96 24-bit. 96 is the samples per second, 96,000 and this is the bit depth. That's the highest quality you can get, but realistically, I would come down to the one that says 4824. Okay, that would work well, especially like for YouTube videos, or even go down to one that says 4424. Those will give you good sound, especially for YouTube videos. So that's what I do. And then auto record, I don't. I mean, you can come in there and see. And what this lets you do, you can scroll through these settings, but what auto record lets you do is you can set it up so that you can put your mic on or your unit on standby, and when it gets up to a certain, you can just leave it on standby and then just start talking or recording music, whatever. As soon as the level gets up to a certain level, it kicks on and it starts recording all by itself. And then when it notices silence or a very low level, it'll kick off and go back to standby. I don't use that, but some people do. I don't think there's, yeah, that's all that's in there. Okay. And then down here for tool, let me just show you something. Right here, see where it says tuner? I don't use any of these, but where it says tuner, if you click on that, look at, you can come down to say guitar, go over here, and what this does is if you hit, like it's set up for an E string, if you hit the E string on a guitar, this will light up and it'll show you if it's right up here at the top, it means that string is tuned properly. Okay, if it's over here, you need to tune it down or tune it up, but you can use that to tune things. I wouldn't use that even if I was, you know, playing my guitar or something, but you can use that if you like to. Okay, and then let's get out of there. And that's all that I would play around with in there. Play mode, right here, I just leave it on play 1. So if I play something, then it just plays that recording. It won't, you know, rotate through it over and over and over. You know, I don't use that, to be honest with you. In system, right here, you can click on this, the date and the time, and you can use your scroll wheel to come in, and if you say, if the month is the 4th month of the year, like April, you can click on this, and then you can use your scroll wheel to change whatever that is. And so you can set the date and the time if it's not set properly to begin with. The backlight, my backlight is on right now. You can turn it off if you want. You can set it so the backlight just comes on for 10 seconds or whatever. I leave it on all the time. You can change the change the contrast. Under battery, if you're using regular alkaline batteries, which I'm using right now, yeah, you can set this. If you're using like nickel metal hydride batteries, you can set it there. All this really does is it helps the unit gauge how much battery life you've got left, because different batteries are different. You can always go to factory reset right here. That'll reset all the settings to the way they were when you first got this. So yeah. And then also, well, that's all of those. We can come down to, okay, right there. Under system, oh, we just did that. Okay, under SD card, okay, right here, under SD card. You can click on that, and you could reformat your card. That'll erase everything on your card if you do that. If you go to remain, what this shows you, it shows you on top, it shows you how many megs you've got left that you can record in there. My card is almost empty. I've only got half a dozen recordings. You could have 100 recordings, but you can see right now my card is basically almost empty. When it gets way over here, then you want to think about replacing it or deleting the recordings, whatever. And this is the time left on your card, the approximate time. Okay, so let's get out of there. And then that USB, I don't use that. Okay, for mode, right here, I record because I plug my mic in here. Right up here, I'm on stereo mode. Now, especially if you're doing music, okay? So with 4-channel, if I push on 4-channel, what that does, it says no data because I don't have a recording going in there, but basically for 4-channel recording, it will record from 1 channel right here on this mic, 1 channel on this mic, 1 down here, if you've got a microphone, voice going in, a guitar, keyboard, whatever, and then 1 over here. So you end up with 4 channels. Now, the thing about this is that can be really good, but the thing is, once you're done with your recording, all 4 channels are sort of blended together. And if, for example, you've got a singer and that comes out real good, you've got a bass guitar, that comes out real good, you know, you got something else, but the guy playing lead guitar screws up on a couple notes and it sounds bad. You can go back and in 4-channel recording, you cannot edit just that guitar channel because they're all melded together. So that's kind of a disadvantage, but still it will record 1, 2, 3, 4 channels and sort of melt all of those together. Now, if we go back to where it says, yeah, I missed it. If we come back to mode and we come down to MTR, MTR means multi-track recording. Now, this is really cool. Okay, very quickly, here are just a couple things that I found that are very useful. They're both very inexpensive. This does not come with your H4N Pro, and you can get it on Amazon. I don't know what it is, $10 or whatever it is. But yeah, and all this is a power cord, so you can plug this into the wall. This end plugs into the bottom of your H4N unit right in there, okay? And that gives you power. So if your batteries are dead or you don't have batteries in there, that can help you out. You can leave the batteries in. It's not a battery charger. It won't charge your batteries, but it will supply power to your unit. The other thing is this data transfer cable right here. And one end will plug into your H4N Pro unit, and it will plug in right here where it says USB. Let me get that lit up there. Okay. This plugs in there, okay? And then the other end has a USB plug, and this will plug into your computer. Then you can drag and drop files from your H4N Pro unit into your computer and put it in your editing software and combine it with the video that you shot, and you'll be all set. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is just, I'm going to try to record just about 30 seconds of meaningless video, just so I've got a video clip to work with and show you how to do this. So I'll just record a little bit. I want to tell you, before I actually start recording any kind of video clip for anything, I always do this. I clap my hands once, twice, 3 or 4 times, doesn't matter. So I'll do that right now, and then I'll show you why I do that. 5 claps. That's just the kind of guy I am. So, okay, so I'll talk for another 15 seconds or so. Meaningless talk. I could talk about my cats. I could talk about the tree that fell in our backyard, almost hit our house. It came close to our house. It was a huge oak tree, full-grown oak tree. Came down in a storm, scared the bejesus out of us. I mean, oh my gosh. Okay, well, anyway, that's enough. So that's a long enough clip for us to use. And I'll shut this off. I'm going to shut my H4N Pro off right now. Okay, so what I did now, you know, I have a Mac. I mentioned that in almost all my videos. I've got a Mac and I use ScreenFlow to edit my videos. If you use Camtasia, Adobe Premiere Pro, whatever, your editing software is, you know, it'll have functions like this. Okay, they may look a little different, but you can do this. So what I'm going to do is I opened up a new document in ScreenFlow. There's nothing in it. Okay, here's my functions up here, all these things. I want to get into my media library. That's this item right here. It's empty right now. So what I'm going to do is come to this H4N Pro folder. Let's look at it this way. Here are the two files. This is the movie. This is what I shot with my camera. It has audio in it, but the audio is not great. Okay, so this is the video that I shot. The little sample video I showed you just a second ago. Okay, put it right there. Now it's in my media library. Now the other thing, this is my sample. This came out of my H4N Pro unit. It's a WAV, a WAV file. Okay, so I'm going to drag that in here too. Okay, and I can close this down now. Okay, next, let me move this over a little bit, get a little bit more room to work in it. The next thing I'm going to do is just take this is the video I shot, I'm going to drag it down into my timeline. Just put it any place, right about there. Okay? And you can see, if I let me go out here someplace, I'm just getting ready, that's before I started. Okay, that's me. Okay, so yeah, that's that file. Now, I'm going to click on this file. I'm going to come up to Edit, come down to Detach Audio. That separates the video from the audio right here. Okay? Whoops, I got the sound turned off right there. Okay, and you can see it's it's very, very faint. The volume is not much. So what I'm going to do is come up to the sound, and we're going to throw this file away. I'm sorry. Click on this. We're going to throw this audio file away because this is one that came out of my camera. It's not very good. But for right now, I'm going to come up and make this, change that to 500. It makes the sound 5 times louder. It'll let us see what's going on in there a little bit better. And so up here, I'm just getting seated. I'm just rambling on a little bit. I'm not really doing anything. And then when I get out here, this is where I clapped my hands. See, right here, right here, right here. I clapped my hands 5 times. Those are the hand claps. And then this right here is where my audio, my good audio, just started right there. Okay, so this is the audio that came out of my camera with this video. And I'm not going to use that. What I'm going to use is we'll come back to my media library. Here's my WAV file right here. And I'm going to put this down below. Right here, and I'm going to drag this back. Now the key is, remember, in this WAV file, this is my good recording out of my H4N Pro unit. Okay, and what I need to do, whoops, let's go back here, right here. Okay, here is where I clapped my hands in the video recording. Pick that up right there. I need to take this is my WAV file, my good recording out of my H4N Pro. And you can see right here, see, here's my hand claps, and see how they match up above and below. Now if I unsync them just a little bit so that they're out of sync, okay, listen to this when I play this now.
Show you why I do that.
See how they're out of sync? Okay, so we want to sync these up. So what I'm going to do is expand my timeline out like this, and it puts more space in there. And what I want to try to do now to sync these up, I want to take my good audio recording from my H4N Pro. It's impossible to get it just perfect, but you can get it close enough. So like right here, see, I can move this back. That's pretty close right there. Let me move this back out so you can see this a little better. And you can see how this audio file and this audio file match up. Now, up here, I'm going to take this. This is the audio that came out of my camera right there. Okay. I'm going to delete that. Okay. Then this is my good audio recording out of my H4N Pro, and it should be synced up with the video. So let's play the hand clappings again, and then we'll play a little bit just so you can see that it's all good. Okay, see how that's all synced up now?
5 claps. That's just the kind of guy I am.
Let's stop it, and let's come out here to where I've got some actual sound in here.
Okay, well, anyway, that's enough. So that's a long enough clip for us.
And if you look at that,
and I'll shut this off. I'm going to shut my H4N Pro.
Okay, if you look at that, my words are matching up with what's going on the video. So that's how you sync that up. So in this case,
now,
once I get done, I would come out here, I would hit a T, that cuts this clip. I'll throw the end away. I'll come up here, I'll hit T again, I'll click out here, throw that away. And what I've got left now, let's come down and shrink this down so it all fits right there. And right here, here's my hand claps right down here. And this is where, let me just get this right.
That's just the kind of guy I am. So, okay, so
So right here, this is where my recording really starts, right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do is hit T and get rid of all this. This is just when I'm sitting down and goofing around there. I'll come up here in my video file, hit T. Again, I'll throw that part away. So now what I've got, I'll move this all the way back to beginning, right here. And when I play this, let me go back to the beginning and see if it looks right.
Okay, so I'll talk for another 15 seconds or so. Meaningless talk. I could talk about my cats. I could talk about the tree that fell in our backyard, almost hit our house, came close.
Okay, so you can see right there that everything is synced up. I'm ready to go. And then I would come up and just, you know, I could save this and then I could export it. Once I export it, it'll change it from a ScreenFlow document into an MP4 file, video file, which I could use. Maybe it's a YouTube video or wherever I want to use it, but I would be all done. Okay, so that's how you bring your files in and sync them up. And yeah, that's how it all works. Okay? Okay, well, to get our settings right, before we start doing a multi-track recording, what we'll do is come in. I'm going to push the menu button right here. This brings up the menu, and right now we are not going to concern ourselves with the folder file. The input right here. The only thing in input that I would recommend is right here where it says mono mix. I would make sure that that's set to on. If it isn't, push your scroll bar in and you can turn it off, turn it on, but I would leave that on. And then we'll go back to our menu, and for record right here, it says record format, and I'm going to click on that, and you can see there are all these different settings. These control the quality of the recording that you make. You can record as MP3 files or as WAV files. Now, when I do this, I have this set on 48 kilohertz and 24 bits is the bit depth. And that's what I would recommend. If you go above that, it's kind of a matter of overkill, especially if they're YouTube videos. So that's the setting that I use right there. And then we'll go back to the menu, and let's see, down here, tool, we won't use that. Play mode, we'll just leave that. It's probably set on 1, play 1. Yeah, so we'll go back. That's what I'd leave that on. And then down here, system SD card, right here, whoops, USB, where it says mode, this is the important one, and right now it's set on stereo, and hopefully you can see this. This red light right up here is right above the word stereo, okay? And we want to change that and scroll down to MTR for multi-track recording. So I'll push this in to set that. It's loading, and there we go. And now we're all set to do some multi-track recording. So let's take a look at doing some actual recording. Okay, so we're all set up here to do some multi-track recording, and the first thing that I'll do is, you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks to record on. I'll push this button right above the 1, okay? See, there's a 1 right there. So I'm going to be recording on the first track, and you can see it's monitoring. I'm not recording right up here. This is the milliseconds, seconds, minutes, and hours. I'm not recording, but it is monitoring my voice, the sound right here. Okay, So the next thing that we'll do is we'll arm this right here. Okay, so it's ready to record. I'm going to lay down 4 tracks. The first is a beat track, the second is a guitar track, and the last one will be a vocal track. Now I have to have a beat track, and typically it would be drums. I don't have any drums, so that's fine. I'm going to improvise here a little bit, and I have an empty Amazon box that I can tap, and that will give me a beat. Okay, and you'll see why we need to have this as we record the other tracks. So what I'll do is, this will be boring for about 10 seconds. You're just going to listen to me beating on the box. But we're all set to go. So right here, I'm going to start recording. Okay, so now I'll stop recording right there. And you can see that my timer, my recording timer has stopped. Okay, and the next thing that I'll do is I'm going to unclick that first track that I just recorded, and now I'd like to play it for you so that you can actually hear that we got something. Now, when I play things for you right now, the sound is coming out from the back speaker, and that back speaker on the H4N Pro is just to let you hear what you're doing. The sound is bad. It'll sound much better when I put it on my computer. So let's just play this so that you can hear that. Okay, that's good. So that's our first track. We've just laid down the beat track, and what this will do, it'll give us a tempo, a rhythm that we can use so that when I play the guitar or when I sing, I can sing to that tempo, to that beat, so everything will be all synced up. Okay? Good. Okay, so now we can come in and we laid down a beat track. We've got that. So now what I'll do is push track 2 right here. And on track 2, we'll do a little bit of guitar stuff. I'm just going to play some very simple chords. You may notice this white chord. You need to have some earphones plugged in, or I just use the earbuds from my iPhone, whatever. Don't go buy earphones. Just plug in the earbuds from your smartphone. Okay? And what that lets me do is I need to monitor. Remember the beats that I laid down? If I don't have earphones on, all I'll hear is the guitar that I'm doing. I won't hear that beat, and I need to hear the beat so that I can strum the guitar in sync at the same tempo as that beat. Okay, so that's why that's plugged in there. So what I'll do now is I will arm this right here. And let me get my guitar here, and we'll try to do this. So we'll push the play button and start recording, and right now. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording right there. Stopped recording. I am going to reset the counter up there, reset it, rewind it back to the beginning, and let me unplug my earphones right there. I've rewound that. I'll undo that, and I'll play this, and now you should be able to hear both the beat track and the guitar. Let's try this. Okay, we don't have to play the whole thing. But so what we have right now, let me reset this back to the beginning. What we have right now is the beat track. We've got a little bit of very amateurish guitar going on there. And now what we want to do is I'll add a little vocal. And if you thought the guitar was amateurish, we don't do the vocal. But I just want to do this so you can see exactly how this whole thing works. So yeah, what we'll do is let's rewind this, which we have. We'll come to track 3 right here, and we'll arm track 3 just like this. And I am going to have to plug my earphones back in so that I can hear the beat going on there. All you're going to do is hear me sing, unfortunately, but I will hear the beat and the guitar, and I'll play all 3 of those for you in just a second when we get done. So let me plug my earbuds in so that I can hear this, and I think that we're about ready to go. Okay, so let's see what we can do here. Got that reset, that reset. Okay, so I'll start out right here. Crimson flames all through my ears, rolling high in my 80 traps, pounced with fire on flaming roads, using ideas as my maps. Okay, so let's stop that. Let me unplug, and let's rewind. Get that discharge right there. So now we should have 3 tracks, okay? The beat track, the guitar track, and my ugly vocal. Okay, so now when we play this, we should be able to hear all 3 of those tracks. Let's listen. Okay, so there we have that. I'll stop that and I'll rewind it. So now what we need to do is, if I thought that I had this perfectly and it was all set up just right and it was all perfect, what I could do on my scroll bar is I can move this. I don't know if you can see this, but as I move my scroll bar down, it highlights these different tracks until I get over to where it says bounce right there. Okay, and whoops, I'm up above that. I need to go down. There we go. Now bounce is flashing right there. So now if I select that, what that'll do, it'll take these 3 tracks that I have, it'll blend them all together into one file, and I'll be done with that. Now that's not really what I want to do, but I just want to show you how that works. So let me come in here and I'll press my scroll wheel to select bounce, and it's going to name it bounce 00, and I'm going to come down to execute right there. Okay, it says now processing. It'll take just a minute to process, and let me fast forward so that we can you don't have to wait all day for this. Let's go into menu and see where it says project. Okay, let me just click on that to show you something. Okay, if I do select, this is the project right there. Okay, and if I come in here to file, let me click on that, and you can see I have 4 tracks. Let me just show you what we've got. Track 1 was the rhythm track, you know, me tapping on the box. Track 2 was the guitar. Track 3 was me singing, and bounce, this bounce file, is all 3 of those blended together. Now let me show you what I do with those, how I'd actually use this in a recording. So what I'm going to do is shut this down, and I pull down on this button right here, goodbye, and what I'm going to do, anytime you put the SD card in or you take it out, you want to shut the H4N Pro down before you do that. So what I'll do is come in here and I'll take this disc out. Okay, this is my SD card, and let me show you what I do with that. Okay, so what I've done is I took the SD card out of my H4N Pro. I popped it into the SD slot on my Mac, and So it's in there right now. And I just created a new folder. I called it MTR segment, something. So this is an empty folder. You can see right there, there's nothing in it. So we'll close that down. And what I'm going to do is open up my Mac right here, and I'm going to use this view right here, and where it says H4N Pro right there. And you can see, remember, we did a MTR multi-track recording. And after you get done making all your tracks, it creates what it calls a project for you, and it has all those tracks inside this project folder. So I'll just click on that. And here's the first track, the beat track. Here's the guitar track. The third one was the vocal track. You'll always get this zip file. I don't know what it is. H4N Pro needs it for something. This bounced. If you look at this back here inside the H4N Pro, when I got done with my 3 tracks, I could have clicked on that bounce icon right there, and all that does is it blends all 3 of these files, or 4 files, whatever you've got. It blends them all together into one file. But I didn't want to do that. I did it, but I normally wouldn't do that because then I can't go in and edit the individual tracks. So yeah, now what I'm going to do is this. Okay, so what I'll do now is I have those tracks that I've recorded, and you'll see up here I've got an MTR segment. I just created a new file and named it. It's empty. There's nothing in that folder, but I'll use that. And I'll come to my Mac, double click on the icon, and I use this view right here, and I'll go to where it says H4N SD. We did a multi-track recording. Now when you get done with your recordings, it creates a folder in your H4N Pro, a project folder. Okay, that's what it is. And you can see here's track 1, track 2, track 3 we recorded. There's this project data as if, I don't even know what that is. I don't know what it does, but you don't need it. This where it says bounced. If you take a look back here, if when you're done recording your 3 or 4 tracks, whatever you did, you can click on this bounce button, and what that does is it blends all of your tracks together into one file, and that can be useful. I don't do that because I want to go in and edit my files individually. Okay, so what I'm going to do right now is just take the 3 tracks that we recorded. There's one, the second one. I'm just copying them into this folder that I've got right there. Okay, and now if we look at this, there are our 3 tracks. Let me come over here. Here's our 3 tracks that we had. Okay, so let me do this. Okay, so what I've done, I just opened up ScreenFlow. That's what I use to edit all my YouTube videos, and I love it. Maybe use Camtasia, Adobe Premiere Pro, whatever you use. Open up your video editing software. Any of it will work. So what I am going to do is come in here, open this up, and here are my 3 different tracks. And I'm going to take the first track and put it right there. I'm going to take the second track, put it down underneath it, and my third track, the vocal, I'll put that down at the bottom. Okay, so we can close this down. And now what I'll do, what you can do, is come down here. Let me, I don't have a video to put in there. Let me come back here and come back here. And now we could play this whole thing and see what it sounds like, but let's come over here. This is our beat track. Pretty low, you can barely hear it. So what I do is come up to my sound panel. It's at 100%. I need to make it quite a bit louder. Okay, and you can see the waveform got bigger. Okay, now you can hear that better. Okay, and this would be the guitar. Okay, that's pretty low too, so I'm going to come up and tweak that up, make it 300%. That'll make it louder. Okay, there's the guitar track, and I'm going to move that right up there. And then this would be what? This is the vocal track. I can tell by the waveform it's not loud enough. Okay, so that is so tiny. Let's try making that 400%. Well, you know, whatever. Okay, so there we go. Now here are the tracks that we've got, and to see what it all sounds like, we could come back to the beginning. We'll get just a little bit of the beat track, and then the stuff will start now. Crimson flames all through my ears, rolling high in my 80 traps. Okay, we won't play the whole thing, but that's the idea. And the beauty of this is with multi-track recording, you can go in and edit each of your tracks in your editing software. Okay, and even more than that, let me just come down here and show you something. There are always audio filters in any kind of software like this. Camtasia has them, Adobe Premiere Pro. All of these things, like I could come in and do let's see, a graphic equalizer, and I could add that, and I could pick a track and see all these different frequencies. I could bump any of these up or down to make it sound a higher pitch, lower pitch, whatever. But there are all these different things we could do. I could really make it sound a lot better, but we're not going to play with that. That's not our purpose here. I just wanted to show you how it works. So basically, you've got 3 tracks that can be edited individually, and when you got it just right, then if you shot a video of your recording of you playing the keyboard, singing, whatever, or your whole group, you could bring that video in here, sync it up, and play your individual files, and just drag your video file up above it or below it, and that could play right up here. Okay, so that's multi-track recording, and that's how it works. Try it out. There's a ton of stuff that you can do with this. It's very, very useful. Okay, so, please subscribe or give me a like. We'll be friends forever. And really, my very best wishes for tremendous success with all that you do on YouTube. And just bless you and have a good day. Okay?